I'm an athlete, and I'm going to go out there and be the best athlete that I possibly can be, regardless of the disability, regardless of the outcome, regardless of what we're facing today. We're going to go out there and compete.
Hey everybody! To reintroduce myself, my name is Cassidy Walker and I am the coordinator of adaptive sports and events here at the University of Central Oklahoma, where my primary role is as the event director for the UCO Endeavor Games. I'm so sorry that I couldn't be with you all live today, but I'm so glad that we were able to find a way for me to still be part of the session. For those who don't know, we ran the Endeavor Games in a virtual format this past summer that looked a little like this. Over the course of 4 days, we held a welcome party live on Zoom to kick off the weekend. We offered 14 different sport clinics live on Zoom. We issued 9 individual sport challenges and a team challenge for the athletes to complete in their own time. The individual sport challenges were completed during the 4-day event, and the team challenge took place over several weeks. Athletes then self-reported their results from the individual and team challenges and submitted photos and videos to us. Truthfully, we had no idea what we were doing. None of us did, right? We were all just learning as we went along. And a few things that I personally learned in my experience. I should have put more time in between each clinic because it was stressful having to rush from ending one Zoom clinic to start up the next Zoom clinic, and it would have been nice to be able to stop and catch my breath. Definitely send out emails to the athletes before the clinic starts, with reminders like what the Zoom link is and what time zone the clinic is in. Have a form where athletes can submit their results and photos. Don't have them email those things directly to you. And if you incorporate some kind of team challenge like we did, make a deadline to register for that piece specifically. I would also recommend being open to new sport offerings in your virtual event, even ones that you wouldn't normally get to offer in person. We were able to offer clinics in 4 sports that we don't normally offer at our in-person games, including Nordic skiing. We don't offer winter sport options in June in Oklahoma, so this was really awesome for us, and we were able to attract new and different athletes this way. I would say offer some sort of competitive type element. Our athletes took completing the individual and team challenges very seriously. And, we were super flexible on the parameters of how these challenges should be completed or could be completed. And that allowed the athletes the opportunity to get inventive and not, get caught up on having the wrong equipment or not enough equipment. Though we did not award first, second, or third place medals, and they obviously weren't able to use their times or distances for any sort of qualification. They were being active, not just sitting in front of their computers, and recording and submitting their results made it feel more like a competition. In terms of athlete engagement, we were pleasantly surprised. I think keeping the games short helped keep athletes engaged, though I know personally, after staring at my computer for 4 days straight, I was burned. So the athletes had to have been too. We'll definitely have to get more creative with what our virtual offerings are, moving forward in order for this to be sustainable. But with no financial burden of travel or hotel accommodations that we know can sometimes keep athletes from participating in person, involvement in our virtual Endeavor Games was outstanding. We had over 450 athletes, more than 150 of which were military veterans from 43 states, 2 U.S. territories, and 7 countries. The virtual option was a great way for us to engage athletes from all over the country and the world. And now we're planning to offer some sort of virtual component to the Endeavor Games in 2021 and beyond. Ultimately, I would say my biggest takeaway is that we all really need to extend ourselves some grace right now. This was new to all of us. We had never run virtual competitions before. When Camille and I were talking a few weeks ago, we talked about how you can't even try to troubleshoot because you don't really know what's gonna go on. You can't try to get ahead of it because we didn't know what to expect at all. But the athletes didn't mind. They weren't comparing our virtual games to our in-person games. Their feedback indicated that they were just happy to be there. They were excited to have a reason to play, a reason to be active, and that they were thankful to be participating in sport in some capacity again. Hosting the Endeavor Games virtually certainly was not easy, but it was 100% worth it. And I would do it all over again if I had to. It really was a great experience for our athletes, but also for us as a staff. We owe it to our athletes to continue offering adaptive sport programming, even if that programming does have to be virtual. So thank you all for your time. And again, I'm so sorry I couldn't be with you live. But if anyone has questions about the virtual Endeavor Games or anything I've talked about or anything at all, please feel free to reach out. If you don't already have my contact information, I'm sure Susan can get that to you. So thank you all again. I hope to see you soon, and take it away, Camille.
Thank you, Cassidy. Hey, everybody. My name is Camille Malknecht. I'm the director of the Angel City Games out in Los Angeles. I first want to share some learnings that we received from Dave Tustenrud from the National Veterans Wheelchair Games. He was also a part of this virtual transition this year and faced some similar challenges. So thank you so much, Dave, for providing this. So one of his first, key takeaways, which I think translates to events in general, is keep it simple, don't overplan. This was a theme, I think, in our event, in theirs, in Endeavor. The more steps you have, the less likely someone is to follow all of those and actually make it. So simplicity is totally key. High energy is a must. I think similarly, we've all done these virtual presentations for the last half year or so. If the presenters and the leads don't want to be there or don't seem like they want to be there, the participants, will drop off. For example, he said the air rifle competition was terrible online. Not every activity that is a hit in person is going to translate well virtually. To give you an example from Angel City Games, archery is one of our most popular events. We did an archery workout where we just kind of, focused on the muscles you need to improve your archery skills without any type of equipment. And that wasn't really a hit online. So the energy must be high, and it must be something that can pretty much translate to a computer with a creative mind. A big component of the virtual setting is having someone produce the sessions. We found very quickly that it's almost impossible for the person leading the session, such as the coach or the instructor, to be the person actually operating, the back end, whether it's Zoom or another platform where people are logging on and logging off, and you need to mute them and have questions. So assembling kind of a production team is an easy way to ensure everything is smooth, and there's less stress on everyone because they have more specific roles. Next slide, please. Using one online platform for consistency is a big plus. So the National Veteran Wheelchair Games used WebEx, and he mentioned when they tried to use Teams, just switching the platforms, another avenue for someone to get lost or need to download a separate program. So we used Zoom throughout our event and also flirted with, Facebook and YouTube. But again, the multiple platforms, it causes people to get confused and ultimately drop off. So one and done is the best way to go about that. And then similarly, a quick reference form, or basically, a very easy template for this is what you need to do to access our event. As Cassidy mentioned, emailing the links out, something that seems, I'm sure, we provided the link here. We reminded everyone there's probably 6 ways right now someone could find it. That extra step of let's make it as simple as possible just ensures people actually showing up. Next slide, please. So I'd love to talk a little bit more specifically about the Angel City virtual games. We transformed our 4-day in-person event, which kind of focused on 2 days of clinics and then the next 2 days of competitions, into 3 weeks throughout the summer of sports, special events, and community building. And that translated into 56 events, not all sport. We did have some resource nights and concerts, a little bit more of that community element, but quite a lot of sport in there. And some of the key things that we learned as a team, first is just embracing this challenge. As Cassidy mentioned, nobody knows or knew what this would be, what to expect. And we just really felt, if we aren't supporting our athletes, who is? And that's definitely not a knock on anyone who didn't try virtual. It's just more of thinking about, if everything under the sun got canceled this year, our events, concerts, parties, graduations, our athletes, have not a lot to look forward to or do. And so just thinking about what our events mean to the community more than just getting the times and winning the games. And really effort is everything. So it's an interesting grind in a virtual setting. It's much more kind of intellectually intensive and time intensive, as opposed to maybe the physical grind of an actual event. But our athletes were incredibly appreciative. The snafus of technology or sending the wrong link or people not, understanding Zoom right off the bat, no one was frustrated. We were all learning together and just the appreciation was totally there. My second point is to really encourage everyone to just get creative. So one thing we discussed as a team at Angel City is who are we serving and what do they need? Our event serves all ages, all ability levels, but we are kind of most focused on the newer athlete and the younger athlete. And so what we did that was pretty different from the Endeavor Games was we wanted to create an environment where you didn't need any equipment. You didn't need to even leave your living room. And that was mostly because we were concerned about COVID here in Los Angeles, but just trying to be mindful of everyone's unique situation. And so all of our activities were kind of household hacks. We had coaches and Paralympians doing a lot of fitness and training, but none of it involved the equipment that you would need to actually play. And we think that everyone got a lot out of it. It was kind of more fun and less serious. I understand that's not the vibe for all of the events, but again, if you water it down to what we're actually trying to accomplish when we do these, huge events, I think it's important to remember we just want people to be active and be engaged and move their bodies and minds. Another big point we had, volunteers and supporters can still get involved. I'll touch on that in the next slide, but finding ways for the people that show up every day to your event or, want to just haul all the water in the world, there's still a role for them in the virtual setting is crucial for your orgs and can just continue to build that sense of camaraderie and momentum in general. Probably the biggest issue Angel City faced throughout the virtual games was the lack of accessible technology, which we were really unfamiliar, or I guess unaware is a better word, of what a luxury, free internet is in households. So I think if we do need to plan for virtual events in 2021 and moving forward, what resources can you share in your local area to help those in need? I know in Los Angeles, this year with school being virtual, the school district has done a really good job of sending laptops and Wi-Fi access to those who need. So hopefully it won't be as big an issue. But still, even compiling a list, of where you can go to rent things or what, areas have free internet access are just solutions that can make all the difference between someone being totally isolated and someone being able to log on and engage. And even if it's safe to do so, connecting local athletes in safe small groups. A difference between our event and Endeavor is that we did not have that kind of team competition or individual times and marks, but I know, for example, Paul in Texas got a group together and they were safe and distanced and were able to do that. So a little bit more work organizing, but I'd say worth it if you have the time and volunteers to help you acclimate in that setting. Next slide, please. This is pretty basic, but setting realistic goals and expectations. We knew that the games wouldn't be what they have been in the past just because it's translated on a computer, but that didn't mean it was a worse version of what we do. It's just reevaluating what is most important for you and your athletes when the weekend is usually over. And I think if there's other things besides just qualifying and times, very easy to translate into a virtual setting. And then finally, just getting the support you need. I know for the events that did happen this year online, we did a great job of sharing the word, supporting each other's events because the competition is pretty much eliminated. There is no worry of, oh, well, they only get one trip and they're going to this event or they can't afford that event. Our athletes were able to participate in everything they wanted to. So I know we had Endeavor athletes and vice versa, and Cindy at Glassa did a great job of promoting our games. So that kind of support is really important for us to all grow. And we're all here as resources for one another. Just a quick note on sponsors. I'm sure many of you lost sponsors, unfortunately, this year with, the pandemic and all of the things that followed with that, but there is a compelling argument that you can, touch more lives, reach more people, engage worldwide, as Endeavor and Angel City both did, to get sponsors to understand that this event is still important and can reach their needs. Next slide, please. Just a couple quick hits on the athlete impact that we had throughout the Angel City Games. One thing that really stood out to me, 125 athletes participated, tried a new sport. So I'm sure, like at many of your events, you get to the games and you're locked into your schedule and there's not a whole lot of time to do anything else. So you play or do the same sports that you've always done. But pretty much a third of our athletes were able to try something new, which again just expands their horizons, introduces athletes to maybe lesser known sports. So we felt that that was a very big positive. And then one more stat on this slide, 63% of athletes felt more connected to the community. That was huge for us. We've been very concerned with the mental toll of this situation, and knowing that, the effort we put in resulted in 63% feeling more connected is motivation enough to need to do this again and again, despite, the circumstances of the world. And then finally, our impact for our allies, excuse me. The next slide, we, as I mentioned, were able to keep volunteers engaged this summer, which we were very proud of. And a big part of Angel City's vision is communicating with the community at large that, understanding disability, understanding the Paralympic movement, it goes beyond our athletes and their families. And we felt this was an amazing opportunity to really educate those who may not have a disability. So you'll see 83% had a positive change on their perspective on individuals with disability. 67% feel more confident. The virtual setting allowed for people who are usually just hucking water or, measuring marks to watch and maybe even participate in a new way. And I think that really changed the lens of how people see and interact with disability. And that is really what we're focused on as well. So to kind of summarize, it's difficult, but it's worth it. And I know Cassidy said that as well. And I think the technology piece doesn't need to be challenging if you have enough volunteers who can help you. And bottom line, the athletes got a lot out of it. And this is the future. Technology is the future, regardless of the situation. So the more comfortable we can get with incorporating it and connecting athletes who otherwise wouldn't be able to come to our events is a really important component of growth here. So that's it from me, but thank you for letting me present.